work and it's kind of a contrivance, but if you got yourself in a debt spending $3,000 on a laptop, this might be worth your time, because if you don't do something like this and you get your laptop lost or stolen, your chances are pretty much zero that you're going to get it back. This won't necessarily guarantee it, but it improves your chances slightly. That's the advantage to it. For my $500 laptop, debatable. If I had a $3,000 PowerBook, it gets a lot more attractive. As far as the conclusion from all this, it's a concept. Everything I have methods here on how you can do this. I definitely don't think it's the most perfect way to do this, but it's a concept. I just felt like a lot of people weren't really thinking in this direction. You know, I think I've been really guilty about it myself. Just nobody really cares what's on my laptop. Nothing's very important. It's all a lot to anybody else, just uninteresting stuff. But the hardware itself might be worth something to them, and nobody really thinks about that or really spends any time really worrying about how they get it back. That's something I like to see more of. I'd like to see people take what I've got here and make it better, make it a more realistic procedure of doing this, which I know can be done, and just thinking more in this direction. That's basically what I'm aiming for to get out of this. And I'm going to work on that myself, perfecting this a little bit more, getting it a little bit more slick, and for people that are less familiar with some of the stuff that's going on, I'm going to put up in detail the syntax, the actual specifics of how you would do every little step. A lot of that's in the slides that are already up there. It could be outlined a lot more, and a few more things probably scripted, so somebody that's not really familiar with some of these technologies, it could get a lot easier for them. But at the moment, this is something where you're going to be fairly familiar with a lot of this stuff if you're going to try it. If you're somebody that's never compiled a kernel, you're probably going to be a little scared of some of this stuff. And that pretty much covers my slides.
I would have a little bit different attack. I don't know if anybody would agree with me. I mean, if I was going to steal it, I would get the hard drive, but I'd image the drive and then I'd low level it, and then pick through the image. And you're susceptible that way, because if I image your drive, I'm going to not only see the Windows partition, I'm going to see your Linux partition too, aren't I?
Right, you're absolutely right. But the point here, I guess I shouldn't have said if somebody here at the con steals my laptop. If anybody in this room runs off with my laptop, they're going to do those kinds of things. The average person if I'm in an airport, if I'm in a coffee shop, the likelihood of you being around your fellow geeks when your laptop goes missing is slim. The likelihood of you being around some random person who knows he can sell that at a pawn shop or on eBay and really knows very little about computers other than they're expensive, that's a lot more likely, I think. So you're absolutely right. This is absolutely not protecting you from any kind of technical attacks. Yeah, and again, I could encrypt, everything that's on that partition, all the kinds of technical things to protect it. I'm not trying to protect myself from a technical attacker. I'm trying to protect myself from an idiot that can put it on eBay. The whole idea is nobody cares what's on my hard drive. They want to sell my hard drive.
I'd also have to disagree with you on the fact that you said that you think that your hardware is valuable. I think anybody that knows anything knows damn well that your data is a million times more valuable than the actual body can ever be. I mean, I'd be more worried about the data getting compromised than I would be about the hardware. I can always go buy it on a $500 freaking piece of crap laptop in the world. If I was writing something, then I would be really upset that, I was halfway through code and things got ripped off, and now I've either got to rewrite it from scratch or.
But I agree those are fair points. I'd be upset if my laptop was gone and I had to buy a new one. And again, the point is, what if I spent a lot more than $500 on it? Yeah, mine's kind of worthless. What about the guy with brand new MacBook, or the guy with the $3,000 Alienware with the dual processors or whatever?
I guess the point I'm getting to is that I feel my time is worth a lot more money
than your laptop.
Putting it together than the man hours on the laptop credit put together. I mean, it's just hard.
Oh, that's a fair argument. For me, I feel like my hardware is worth something. Not a whole lot to other people, but to me. And my data that's actually on here, anything important I don't really keep on my laptop. Anything somebody's going to get, I'm mostly out the hardware, I guess is what I'm saying. If you're keeping your whole life on your laptop and it goes missing, then yeah, that data is worth a lot more to you. I see a lot of people buying laptops and computers in very ghetto ways. I went to see a car mechanic and he had, like $2,000 Sony Vaio. I'm like, how'd you get that? Fell off the back of a truck. I have friends that almost strictly buy things in like pawn shops and stuff. This is how those things get there. There are a lot of people out there that, I don't think there certainly is an issue with data and with legitimately people stealing your identity, things like that off your laptop. But I mean, if you're sounds like you're maybe a developer or something, if you're working on some kind of computer program that's on your laptop, the average person takes it, doesn't know what that is. They might know what to do with your financial documents. They aren't going to see the value in the code that you're writing. It's valuable to you, and it's valuable to who you're writing it for, but the average person doesn't see the value in it. That's kind of my point, I guess.
Hey, Omar, could you actually have your laptop turn itself on and call home?
Turn itself on?
Yeah, because that was one of the things you mentioned is you'd have to hope that they turn it on and hook it up to the internet.
Yeah, I am making a couple of leaps of faith there. I am hoping they turn it on. I'm hoping they connect to the internet. What I'm hoping for is to make it more likely that they do so and keep it connected. I can't force them to press the power button on my laptop.
Well, there might be a way to, like, with the Wake Up LAN and all that stuff that's out there nowadays.
Could you do something with Wake Up on LAN?
Wake Up on power.
Or your power
Wake Up on
management.
pretty intelligent.
Yeah, the bias
Wake on LAN,
similar.
boot up, negotiate a connection, send something out.
Yeah, but as the thief throws it in the car and is driving somewhere and it picks up a signal, depending on how long he's sitting somewhere. If it boots on land and then sends a signal out, you can get it before he's even back.
Yeah.
It's a thought.
Yeah,
One of the commercial products that came out was Guardian Angel by Robert Urich, the guy that what TV show? No one here is young enough to know.
Robert Urich?
Do what? What was the TV show he did? You're fucked up. So anyway, but he did come out with a product called CyberAngel, and it was something that you loaded on your machine that whenever you fired it up, it started beaconing unless it was over with that.
Yeah, do you have a back end like server script or not script, back end server that like if you do start beaconing this stuff that somehow it'll either start feeding you the IP address information or screenshots or something so you can figure out where this person is?
That honestly, I saw that as being the trivial part. If I've got an internet connection, I could tell it email it to me. I can tell it to SSH to somewhere, SCP files somewhere. Connect to a web server. And again, I'm assuming again that the firewall that they're behind is not particularly restrictive. If it is, then that's a whole other subset of pretty much telling my script to run the gamut of possible ways it could get out of their network, and get back to me. I saw that as a solved problem, It's plenty of things you can script there.
Post data onto some web server.
Right.
If you're going to have port 80 open anyways, and most routers, I don't know why you would lock off web access like that.
It's highly unlikely they wouldn't have a lot of things like that open.
But yeah, I was wondering if you could make your power management and just write a script so it turns on every hour, calls on, turns off.
That's something that could be done.
That might be a better way to attack it and Wake Up LAN.
Yeah, that would make more sense. I agree with that. Yeah. That I actually hadn't thought about. That might be something that would make a little more sense.
Wouldn't that tip off the adapter call something fires up like a possessed demon and starts trying to, you hear the click click to constantly connect to the telephone line, and that would immediately tip me off, something seriously screwed up. Hard drive broke up.
And look to see what access points they're connecting to.
What MAC address that wireless card has is built into there. I mean, if you could somehow query that information and say, hey, here was that last student.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost need like a vectoring traceback program to figure out exactly where that person's coming from. You can figure it out on your own, but you have to do a lot of work to get there.
I've read that laptop, so we actually looked, we went driving around, looked for his addresses, he had it written down or something.
Did you find it? That's an interesting idea too, and you also you get like the last few access points that they've seen cached. So yeah, like you're saying, if you were able to get at that and query Wiggle, you know that could actually go a lot farther to finding them.
I don't believe Wiggle stores client information, like just access points. So that wouldn't really work.
Well, no, the last few access points. Like if you ever do that when you run up Kismet and you start to pick up wacky stuff, like why am I picking this up? And it's whatever you were looking at,
Right.
you know, the last time you were connected. You know, they get cached. Those, you know, that stuff would be in Wiggle possibly. The last few access points they connected to.
Hi, yeah, from somebody who might be mildly interested in deploying this on a fairly large site where we have a significant amount of laptops, therefore a significant amount of laptop theft. This needs to be easy for the user because it's going to be really hard for me to sell this idea if what happens when the computer boots is it goes into this faux Windows.
Right. Well, no, I agree with that too. For that, if you did this in a production environment, this would be a support nightmare. This is not a practical thing for the average
Why
user.
don't we make a Windows service that does this rather than have it with?
Because I'm not a Windows guy. But absolutely, you probably, if it's possible to have a Windows service boot up and automatically run something in emulation and all that stuff.
That'd be a hell of a lot
Basically.
easier than running an alternate emulator and making
The-
boot splash and all that kind of
Have
stuff.
it do it all the time, have your keylogger running.
Just have Windows on that first small partition or whatever.
Yeah, and the Windows boots up first and the second server.
It's not quite the same amount of logging. I mean, you don't have header cap and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah,
you
that's
could do a lot.
you don't you don't have to do it that way. I was doing it that way for the purpose of abstracting things a little bit more from them and having the ability to log really easily underneath. And because I'm a Linux guy, my interest was in protecting my Linux laptop that I thought I really had protected from something it's really not protected from. For a Windows laptop that you actually, that you primarily want to run Windows on, you're going to attack it in a different way. And if you actually have users that are running Linux on a large scale, you would want to make it easier. And rather than what I did, where you have a black screen and where you just see absolutely nothing, you could possibly do something that's a little user friendlier. I mean, the thing about it is you want it to automatically, for it to work, it has to automatically go into the fake stuff if you don't know what to do. And that alone is what's going to create your support nightmare. Because if your user forgets to, enter in their password, hit the key at the right time, whatever, they're going to be in this whole little trap that we've set, which is going to drive you nuts with support calls. Yeah, I don't know that it makes sense for that in a large scale.
What if there's a Windows service that's always running on, say, your computer's on your network, and if it is connected to your real network, it can check that out and then don't log all that stuff. But if it's not, then yeah, log all that stuff, phone home. I mean,
And the thing you're doing there though is what I was trying to avoid was something where while I don't think I have a sophisticated attacker, I don't want them to very obviously be able to see that there's something going on. I don't want to do anything to make them suspicious.
Right.
Maybe they're sophisticated enough to run Task Manager. If I have something as obvious as VNC is running in the system tray, they might notice that. Honestly, for the person I had in mind, the guy who's stealing my laptop and putting it in a pawn shop, that probably would fly anyways. I mean, that's exactly what the thing I read about was. Somebody had Timbuktu running on their laptop. It must, it's got a little icon and everything. It's not like it's hard to figure out the software is installed and that it's running. But the attacker did not notice this. This person dialed into their machine, got all kinds of information and was able to track it down. So I was basically trying to take what happened by accident and improve upon it so the attacker wouldn't see that this stuff was going on, even if they did look.